we are going to discuss the previous year questions that has been asked from the international trade theories. The questions are almost direct and some of it are from the assumptions that we have already discussed during the class. So the first question we are going to begin with is from 2012 December paper 3. The question is, the comparative cost advantage theory was given by option A David Ricardo, Adam Smith, Raymond Vernon, Michael E. Porter. So this is a direct question, so without any doubt we can say that the comparative cost advantage theory was given by David Ricardo. So the answer is option A David Ricardo. Now the question is from 2013 December paper 2. This is also similar to the one that has been previously asked, that is to match the proponents of the theory with the theories. So the list one gives us the name of the theories. The first one, comparative cost advantage theory, the international trade theory of opportunity cost, the factor endowment theory of international trade, and D doctrine of reciprocal demand. So the list 2 gives us Gottfried Haberler, J.S. Mill, David Ricardo, and Heckscher-Ohlin. Matching option A, that is comparative cost advantage theory of international trade, we already know that David Ricardo was a proponent of that theory. So A can be matched with option 3 from list 2. A can be matched with option 3 from list 2, and B international trade theory of opportunity cost. The opportunity cost theory of international trade theory was given by Haberler. So we have to note that that is an important that is an additional information here. So the international trade theory of opportunity cost was given by Haberler, that is Gottfried Haberler, that is option. Now the B can be matched with option 1 from list 2, that is B with option 1 in list 2. Third one is the factor endowment theory, or also called factor proportion theory, or the Heckscher-Ohlin model. So we know that it is Heckscher-Ohlin, that is option 4 from list 2. The last one is the doctrine of reciprocal demand. We also know that that is given by J.S. Mill. So we can match option D with option 2 in list 2. That means this gives us with the answer option C, that is A to 3, B to 1, C to 4, and D to 2. So the answer is option C. Option C is the exact correct answer for this question. Now moving on, June 2014 paper 2. This is also an exact question, direct question of the concept. The international trade theory, which provides that capital intensive country should export labor intensive goods and import capital goods is referred to as. So which one of these theories gives us such an idea? We know that the Heckscher-Ohlin theory, Leontief paradox, Heckscher-Ohlin theory, mercantilism, and the theory of comparative cost advantage. We know that the Leontief paradox is a paradox or the opposite, or the empirical idea of, or empirical study of Heckscher-Ohlin theory. So we have to discuss that. So considering option C and D, the mercantilist idea was given by the mercantilist, which says that trade is a zero-sum game, which mainly concentrated upon how nations should engage in more of accumulating wealth rather than in maintaining a balance between trade. They were always concentrated upon how to accumulate wealth, how trade can be used to accumulate wealth. So this does not match with the idea given here. And also the theory of comparative advantage. So according to the theory of comparative advantage, a country should export or specialize in the production of those commodities in which it is having a relative advantage or maximum cost advantage. So that is what comparative advantage theory gave us, but this does not also match with the idea that is given here. So this gives us with the two option, that is option A and option B. So before that we have to know, before checking option A, we have to check what is Heckscher-Ohlin theory. So according to, we had a summarized points about what Heckscher-Ohlin theory is. Heckscher-Ohlin theory said or discussed about how factor endowments should determine what a particular country should particularly produce or concentrate its production upon or specialize its production upon. So according to Heckscher-Ohlin theory, a country should export those of, if a country is capital abundant, then the country should export more of capital intensive goods and import labor intensive goods. That is what Heckscher-Ohlin theory gave us. But the Leontief paradox was exactly opposite of this idea that Heckscher and Olin gave us. So this the Leontief paradox, as we know, gave us that United States exported more, even though it was more capital endowed, it exported labor intensive goods and it imported capital intensive goods. So we that is the idea behind Leontief paradox. So this question also gives us such an idea about Leontief paradox, that is, a capital intensive country should export labor intensive goods and import capital intensive goods. So such an idea was put forward or given in the Leontief paradox in his empirical analysis of Heckscher-Olin theory. That means this is a case of what he found to happen, what he found was happening with the United States, which was even though it was capital endowed, but it was engaged in the production, specialization and production and export of more of labor intensive goods than of capital intensive goods, in which it was greatly abundant in. So this question, the answer to this question would be Leontief paradox, that is option A, Leontief paradox. Now the 2016 July paper 2 gives us an assertion reason question, that is, the comparative cost theory is static in nature, and the reason is the comparative cost theory is based on fixed supplies of factors of production. So we have already discussed the assumptions of comparative cost advantage theory during the class, in which it was clearly mentioned that the economy under the comparative cost advantage theory is static in nature. That means the techniques of production, the factor supplies, the taste and preferences of consumers, etc., always remain constant or is stable in all through the process of trading, all through the process of trade. So this is also a direct application from that assumption question. So we know that comparative cost advantage theory is static in nature. Yes, we know that it is true. And the second one, it is based on the fixed supplies of factors of production. And for a country, for a country or for an economy to be static, it means that the factors of production is always having, or the factors is having there, is maintaining a constant or stable supply all through the time. So that is why we know that the reason is also exactly true. So we can see that the answer would be both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of the assertion given, that is comparative cost theory is static in nature. So the answer for this question would be option 4, that is A and R both are correct, and R is the correct explanation of the assertion. Option 4 is the right answer. Now 2017 January paper 2. The question is, consider the following statements with regard to the theory of absolute cost advantage, that is, the productive efficiency differed among different countries because of the diversity in the natural and acquired resources possessed by them. That is the first concept. The second concept given is, the differences in natural advantage manifest in varying climate, quality of land, availability of minerals, water and other resources. The third concept is, the differences in acquired resources manifest in different levels of technology and skills available. So these option 2 and option 3 are exactly the explanations given to the first statement that is given here. So according to the theory of absolute cost advantage put forward by Adam Smith, gave us the idea that every country should specialize in the production and export or trade of those goods in which it has an absolute advantage. And how do they get this absolute advantage? Is through these way. That means the productive efficiency. Each of a country has its own particular diversity and its own particular natural and acquired resources that are possessed by each of those countries. So these natural and acquired, these natural resources can be in terms of differences in their quality of land, in their climate, or in their particularly the availability of particular minerals or water or other resources that are available within the country. And the acquired resources are the technology or techniques of production or the methods of production that are used inside during the production process. So these two are exactly explanation given to the first concept. So we know that, and why a country is having an absolute advantage is because of these factors. That means a country is especially having a diverse or unique nature of itself, is having a unique state of itself or unique nature of itself, which is why a particular country is having an absolute advantage. So this we know that since all the three are interrelated, and as the options 2 and 3 are exactly the explanation given to the option 1, we can know that, or we can say that all three are exactly the concepts which are discussed under the theory of absolute cost advantage. So we can say that all the statements 1, 2 and 3 are exactly correct in this case for the theory of absolute cost advantage. That means the answer would be option 3. All statements 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Option 3, 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Now 2017 January paper 2, this is also a match the following question and also the exactly 4 international trade theories or international trade theory concepts that we have discussed. The first one is the absolute cost advantage theory. So this can be matched with a country should be having a direct, can be matched with option 2 from list 2, that is a country having a direct cost advantage in the production of a good on account of greater efficiency. That means the absolute cost advantage theory given by Adam Smith said that in which a particular country it should produce or specialize in the production of those commodities in which it has a more cost advantage, in which it has an absolute cost advantage or the labor is more productive or more efficient. So option A, absolute cost advantage theory can be matched with a country having a direct cost advantage in the production of a product on account of greater efficiency. Now moving on to comparative cost advantage theory given by David Ricardo, which gave more importance to relative advantages or cost advantage. Relative cost advantages were given more importance in the comparative cost advantage theory or the Ricardian theory. So we know that the option is option could be option 4, that is a country should specialize in the production and the export of a commodity in which it possesses greater relative advantage. So as against the absolute cost advantage, which only considered the absolute differences in the cost, comparative cost advantage theory considered the relative advantage that it has over the production in the other commodity. So option B can be matched with option 4 from list 2. Now moving on to factor endowment theory or factor proportion theory or the Heckscher-Ohlin theory, we can know that a country should produce and export a commodity that primarily involves a factor of production abundantly available within the country. So the Heckscher-Ohlin model gave us the idea that trade patterns should be based upon, or a particular country should export or produce more of a commodity in which uses a factor of production which it is abundant in or is rich in. That means a country should produce and export those commodities in which involves a factor of production which is abundantly available within the country. That means, for example, we know that we gave the example that if a particular country is rich in labor, which the country should produce more and export more of labor intensive goods. The similar idea is given here also. So we can match option C with option 3 in list 2. And also Leontief paradox, as we know, is the exact opposite idea, is the empirical analysis of the factor endowment or Heckscher-Ohlin theory. So we know that factor endowment theory, Leontief paradox gives us the opposite result of what factor endowment theory gave us. So that a direct statement is given here, that is the empirical evidence based on US export of labor intensive goods challenging the factor endowment theory. That is Leontief paradox gave us the idea that US economy or US was more capital endowed, but it resulted in the production, but how it produced was that it majorly concentrated in the production of labor intensive goods and exported labor intensive goods and it imported the capital intensive goods. So option D can be matched with option 1 from list 2. So the option would be A can be matched with 2, B can be matched with 4 and C with 3 and D with 1, which gives us the answer option 1 for this question. The answer is option 1. Now the 2018 July paper 2, this is also a very simple question, that is to match the theories with their proponents, that is comparative cost advantage theory. We know that it is by David Ricardo, opportunity cost theory by Gottfried Haberler, and factor endowment theory was given by Eli Heckscher or Bertil Ohlin, and absolute cost advantage theory was given by Adam Smith. So we can match option A with option 3, option A with option 3, option B with 2 and C with 4 and D with 1. So the answer will be option 2. The answer is option 2. Now 2018 December paper 2, this is also a direct question. which says that the theory suggesting that the pattern of international trade are determined by factor endowment rather than productivity was propounded by which are one of the following? That is, the option is Adam Smith, Michael Porter, David Ricardo and Heckscher and Ohlin. We know that Adam Smith and David Ricardo gave us a theory in which they concentrated majorly upon how differences in productivity, absolute as well as relative productivity, affected the trade and the pattern of trade that has been undertaken between two countries. So, factor endowments or factor proportions, differences in factor proportions being affecting the trade patterns between two or more countries, where the idea was given by Heckscher and Ohlin. So, the answer to this question, 2018 paper 2 question, would be option 4, Bertel, Heckscher and Bertel, Ohlin. That is option 4, Bertel, Heckscher and Bertel, Ohlin. So, we have discussed the questions from 2012 to 2018, from 2012 to 2018. Since the recent question papers did not give us any questions from international trade theories, we are actually stopping with the last question from 2018 December only. The classes that we have discussed were exactly giving us the idea about what exactly gave us this an exact summary of each of the international trade theories that have been discussed over and over again in the in the NET exams. So, the previous year questions have has also been discussed. The concepts are direct applications only. So, there is nothing much to be extra to be added to this. Thank you.